The Central Authority is Deepoken's grandest faction, and it lays claim to a majority of Lumen. Drallis Ehr, the de facto ruler and grand sovereign of the Central Authority, is closer than ever before. Drallis is an immortal and ageless Adresian, but we've barely learned anything about him. Until a few days ago, I figured that was the point. He's been built up as mysterious and all-powerful, a figure that lurks in the shadows, silently controlling Lumen. After all, he's the ringleader of Deepwoken's strongest faction, the Authority. It makes sense that we don't know anything about him, and really, I didn't expect to learn anything about him for, well, years, if not until the game ends. Well, never mind any of that, because Ragusa just confirmed that Drallis is a Deepoken. Fuck my life. This is the second day of my 30 days of daily uploads. Remember to subscribe, you'll get more videos, whatever. Thanks for your time, I love you. Remember, a Deepoken is someone who's eaten some part of a drowned god, the all-powerful rulers of the depths. Yes, the game is called Deepoken, and yes, Deepoken is a title within the game. Hopefully that's not too confusing. Anyhow, if you've investigated the mysterious Drallis Ehr in-game before, you've likely seen his glossary entry. It reads as follows. An ageless Adresian man, the sovereign has been the supreme ruler of the Central Authority since its inception. The histories recount that Drallis Ehr became a hero in the Adresian Empire by dispelling the godstorm that had brought the nation to its knees, bringing peace to its people. With the Adresian Emperor and his line having fallen into the godstorm, Drallis took the reins and spearheaded the coalition that would become the Central Authority. Beyond the histories told by the Citadel, little is known about the man himself. His identity is one of the most enduring mysteries of this era. Some skeptics believe that the identity of the sovereign is actually passed down in secret, and that the supposed immortality of its ruler is propaganda designed to suppress resistance. Now that you're familiar with Drallis' in-game glossary entry, you're likely confused as to why Ragusa's reveal of Drallis as a Deepoken was so surprising. After all, the glossary entry does indeed imply that Drallis is immortal, which is a status shared by the Deepoken. Well, Drallis was previously believed by myself, embarrassingly, and other members of the community to have had ties to the Celestials, which are the mortal enemies of the drowned gods. Why the Celestials? Well, to explain, I'll have to take you back to the Adresian Empire, the beginning of the Central Authority. You see, the Central Authority did not always bear that name. Before the Authority came the Adresian Empire. The Adresian Empire first came into power after the end of the Cataclysm. The rapidly rising tides forced the inhabitants of Lumen to flee for the peaks and mountains of the worlds. They were the only places the waves of the depths would not reach. This left the Adrets, the original settlers of these mountains, in a place of power. They suddenly adopted large populations of refugees. Wielding their newfound command over the remaining population of the world, the Adrets then formed the Adresian Empire. However, the Adresian Empire eventually came under siege from something called the Godstorm, and guess who was the one to stop it? The man of the hour, Drallis Ehr. Drallis reportedly overcame the Godstorm and became the Adresian Empire's leader, and the Adresian Empire eventually morphed into the Central Authority. Drallis has ruled to this day. Now that we're done with story time, the reason Drallis was previously linked to the Celestials was because it was previously speculated that the Adrets were different from other aspects. In case you don't know, aspects first came about when the original humans of Lumen worshipped various animals. These humans then made vows to adopt traits of the animals they worshipped, hence spawning the animalistic Canors, Tyrans, etc. However, the Adrets are different. They don't appear to be based on any animals, and thus the theory was made that the Adrets had been worshipping Celestials. This quickly fell apart, as the developers confirmed that Adrets worshipped, well, the mountains themselves, essentially making them rock people rather than celestial people. This theory doesn't even make much sense in the first place, man. I don't even know what I'm on. A celestial aspect would have made the whole concept of Lightborns completely pointless. Regardless, because of this supposed Adret-celestial connection, it was assumed by me that Drallis, the leader of the former Adresian Empire, would have had celestial connections himself, and thus it was assumed that he was the Celestials' equivalent of a Deepoken. As you now know, that theory was quite incorrect. You can't solve anything without being wrong first, and Drallis is indeed a Deepoken, which was the obvious conclusion. I'm not complaining because this revelation does shed some light on just what the Godstorm actually was. Beforehand, the identity of the Godstorm was relatively hard to pin down. I believe my previous conclusion was that the Godstorm was some natural disaster sent by the Celestials as some sort of test. What does that even mean? Like, what are my older videos even about? Regardless, now that Drallis is a Deepoken, I think the Godstorm becomes a lot more cut and dry. If Drallis is a Deepoken and was able to suppress or defeat the Godstorm, we can assume that the Godstorm itself was sent by the drowned gods in some capacity. In fact, this Godstorm may have even been the thrall of a drowned god, similar to something like the Scion of Etheron. It's possible that by defeating the Godstorm, Drallis consumed some of the storm itself and became a Deepoken that way. While the Deepoken aren't necessarily tied to attunements, I'd imagine that Drallis is going to wield Thundercall in future, or some variant of Thundercall, or something related to the storm. You get it, man. Here's your TLDR. Drallis is an immortal and ageless Adresian, as he's a Deepoken, someone who has consumed part of a drowned god and gained immense power. Drallis is the Grand Sovereign of the Central Authority, which is a position that he's maintained since the Authority was founded. The Central Authority was originally formed from the remains of the Adresian Empire. The Adresian Empire was formed from refugees fleeing the tides and seeking out peaks to escape to. These peaks were already inhabited by the Adrats. Drallis became the ruler of the Adresian Empire after he dispelled a calamity referred to as the Godstorm that was threatening the Adresian Empire. It can be assumed that the Central Authority was formed shortly after, and that Drallis wields some sort of Thundercall. That's all from me. Like and subscribe for more lore updates. Bye.